what if the greatest war in history took place in total silence? What if, on the night the world held its breath, unseen swords were drawn and destinies rewritten in the dark? You've heard of Golgotha, the cross, the thunder, the blood. But what if you've never truly seen what happened just beyond the shadows? Tonight, we enter the realm where human eyes fail, but eternity remembers. You know the story of the cross. But have you ever wondered what trembled behind the veil as angelic armies gathered and ancient enemies watched? Behind every drop of blood, a universe shift. Tonight, the veil is torn. You stand on the edge of two worlds. Imagine Jerusalem beneath a sky blacker than midnight. Wind howls through empty streets, dust swirls over silent stones. Somewhere on a cursed hill, soldiers nail a broken man to wood, while above, the true battle unfolds in blinding, supernatural fire. You are there, not as a bystander, but as Michael, sword in hand, as Uriel, flame in your veins, or as a soul trembling between fear and hope, feeling the ground shake beneath both men and angels. Tonight, step into the silence. Smell the rain. Hear the distant drumbeat of war. Sense the hush before history splits in two. Are you ready to see the story beneath the story? What if heaven and hell were at war above the cross? What if, as the world watched a man die, another battle, older, darker, and far more real, raged in the unseen skies above Golgotha? The night is thicker than pitch. Clouds gather, swirling, pressing low against the city. Lightning flickers, strange, almost unnatural, casting bursts of blue and crimson against the trembling ground. You hear it, the air humming with a tension no human voice can name, the smell of rain, sweat, fear. But what if you could step through the veil? What if you could see just for a moment the real war, where giants stand guard and shadows move with purpose? There, between heaven and earth, two figures blaze in the darkness. Michael, towering, his armor streaked with fire, wings arched wide, sword gripped so tight it pulses with the ancient names of God. Beside him, Uriel, the archangel of wisdom, his body radiant like a forge, eyes burning white hot, the air shimmering in waves around him. On the far edge, a darker shape, Lucifer, shrouded in shadow, his gaze never leaving the cross. All around, hosts of angels, silent, not singing, waiting, holding their breath as the fate of creation hangs in balance. Thunder cracks, not just in the sky, but in your own chest. Your heart stutters, matching the rhythm of the storm. There is no human word for what you feel, only the knowledge that you are watching something forbidden, holy, terrifying. You see Jesus, his body broken, blood staining the ground, head bowed. But above him, the world bends, torn open by invisible hands. This is not a scene for mortals, but Elisha once prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes that he may see." And the servant looked, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. In 2 Kings 6:7. Tonight, the mountains are alive again. Flames curl at the edge of Michael's blade. Uriel's hands glow, weaving secret light through layers of darkness. And Lucifer, once the brightest, waits, confident, certain that the end is his. You wonder, if you could see into the spirit world, what would terrify you most? Would it be the armies poised for battle, or the stillness before the clash? Would it be the silent glance between angels, the shudder of demons backing away, or the power restrained by obedience? There is no clamor, only the howling wind. No war cries, only the distant beating of your own heart. The world below is blind. Roman soldiers, the jeering crowd, the mourners weeping at the cross. None of them know they are at the center of a cosmic struggle, but in this moment, eternity balances on a breath. Imagine the angels above, wings stretching to cover the city, shields locking in formation. Imagine Michael's silent resolve, the memory of every battle ever fought burning in his eyes. Uriel stands, a living flame, prepared to illuminate the secrets of this hour for generations to come. But neither moves, not unless the sun commands. Lucifer's shadow expands, creeping across the sky, whispering lies even now. He remembers Eden, the first defeat, the prophecy of the woman's seed. He believes this is the hour of his victory, and yet something in the air says otherwise. Maybe you've felt it too, that battle no one else sees, when you're alone in your room, gripped by doubt, fighting shadows only you can feel. Maybe you know the ache of hope and despair clashing inside you, when your world seems small, but the stakes feel infinite. It is the same battle, just closer to home. Tonight, the veil is thin. The storm rages not just above Jerusalem, but wherever light and darkness collide, in every heart that still hopes. The heartbeat of heaven and hell sink for one moment as all creation leans in. Michael shifts his weight. Uriel's eyes narrow, sensing the moment is near, and on the cross Jesus breathes, every breath echoing through realms unseen. If you could see, truly see, would you still fear the darkness, or would you look for the fire? Would you be terrified, or would you realize that even here, especially here, you are not alone? The story waits, suspended on the edge of thunder. The next move belongs not to angels, nor to demons, but to the one who hangs between worlds. Hold your breath, because what happens now will change everything you thought you knew about war, about sacrifice, about hope. And as the storm crackles overhead, the camera pulls back, showing not just a hill, not just a cross, but a war that will define eternity. The unseen war over Calvary is just beginning. Are you ready to see what happens when silence becomes the greatest weapon of all? What is true power, thunder or silence? The world thinks power is noise, marching armies, shouted threats, the clash of swords in the storm. But tonight, above the cross, all creation holds its breath. No sound, only the low growl of thunder in the distance, the air pulsing with an energy too fierce to name. Michael stands like a mountain, sword in his hands, arms trembling, not from fear, but from the agony of waiting. Uriel watches, his eyes burning with the wisdom of ages, his gaze fixed on the battered form hanging below. Lightning flashes, painting the night in harsh blue and red. Each bolt reveals the faces of angels frozen in suspense. Wings half spread, voices caught in their throats. Lucifer moves at the edge, lurking, hungry. Sure, the silence means he has won. On the cross, Jesus breathes shallow, every gasp more precious than a kingdom. He could break this world apart. He could call 12 legions of angels, 100,000 Michaels at a single word. Matthew 26:53. He could sweep away every Roman, every demon, every mocking voice. But he chooses not to speak. He chooses to bear the pain, to let the darkness gather, to let the thunder build. The true power tonight is restraint. Wounds endured, not inflicted. Victory achieved, not seized. The camera closes in, a bead of sweat crawling down his temple, streaking through blood, falling to the dust. The ground drinks it in, the silence thicker now. Michael's grip tightens, knuckles blazing white, sword trembling with the urge to defend. Uriel's flame dims as if refusing to blind the world to what must happen. Both angels wait for a command, one that will not come. Above, the stars flicker out. The sun itself withdraws, as if unable to bear witness. 3 hours of darkness stretch across the world, an eclipse, not of nature, but of purpose. Down below, the crowd jeers, soldiers gamble, mothers weep. But the real audience, those who understand the stakes, cannot make a sound. A single cry pierces the void. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani? My God, why have you forsaken me? Matthew 27-46. It is not a whimper of defeat, but a declaration that echoes through every realm. The silence shatters, not with an explosion of angelic wrath, but with a suffering so deep all heaven is shaken. Michael feels it in every sinew, the urge to intervene, to strike down the enemy, to stop this. But he does not move. Uriel's heart blazes with the secret of prophecy. He knows this agony is not weakness, but the opening of a door no power can close. This is the moment when silence is more terrifying than a battle cry. This is the moment when the universe learns the meaning of love. Power is not the roar of thunder, but the resolve to remain silent in obedience. It is the might to endure when every fiber aches to retaliate. It is Michael holding his ground, sword ready but not raised. Uriel, mouth closed, eyes burning with tears, he cannot let fall. Maybe you know that silence. Maybe you have felt it. In the hospital at midnight, in the arguments you could not win, in the battles where you were told to wait instead of fight. Maybe your power, too, is the choice not to speak, not to defend yourself, not to lash out, but to trust the story is bigger than your pain. Tonight, the cross stands at the center of the world, a throne of agony, a monument to silent power. The hosts of heaven watch. Hell recoils, uncertain, afraid of a God who chooses silence over spectacle, and for the first time, true power is revealed not in what is done, but in what is withheld. The cry of Jesus fades. The darkness deepens. Michael bows his head. Uriel's hands tremble, holding light for a world that does not yet understand. Below, the ground shudders, as if creation itself is about to break. When is silence more terrifying than a battle cry? When it is the silence that saves the world. When it is the quiet obedience that holds the line between hope and oblivion. And as the final echo of that cry fades, the story prepares to shift from silence to transaction, from restraint to redemption, from the edge of defeat to the dawn of something no darkness can overcome. The world will never see power the same way again. What if the cross was a battlefield and a courtroom? Tonight, lightning divides the sky, but another kind of line is drawn, an invisible wall between heaven and hell, hope and despair. The air crackles not just with thunder, but with accusations, bargains, and the silence of all creation holding its breath. Beneath the cross, blood falls in slow motion, a red signature on the earth, sealing a covenant that even angels cannot fully comprehend. All around, spirits press in, some to accuse, some to witness, some simply longing for release. Above, Michael stands immovable, his blade drawn, not in rage but as a living boundary. He is the shield between the dying sun and every demon that would twist the moment, every accusation that would attempt to break through. In the darkness, Uriel raises his hand. Light pours from his palm. Wisdom, revelation, truth shooting across the chasm like a searchlight. He speaks no word, but his presence declares what the prophets could only hint. This is not chaos, but a cosmic negotiation. The fate of every soul hangs in the balance, and the terms are written in blood. You see, just as Satan once stood before God to accuse Job, Job 1:2, so now the powers of hell gather, eager to claim ownership over the broken, the guilty, the lost. They hurl their charges, their mockeries. This is justice? This is love? Where is your God now? The scene is both a courtroom and a war zone. Every word is a weapon, every drop of blood a counter-argument. Michael does not speak. He simply stands his ground, holding the gap. He is the ancient answer to every "Why have you forsaken me?" A silent guarantee that no one can snatch what has been committed into God's hands. Uriel, the burning witness, illuminates the hidden rules, the legal transaction. This blood is not the defeat of the innocent, but the purchase price for every soul in bondage. The wind roars, the earth shudders, and the shadows recoil. For a moment, it looks like darkness is winning, but in that darkness, the ultimate exchange is taking place. The sins of the world pass on to the suffering Messiah. Every shame, every failure, every wound. In return, freedom is written into the very fabric of reality. Imagine Brian Stevenson, a lone advocate in an Alabama courtroom, standing up for those who have no voice, no hope, knowing the odds are stacked, yet refusing to step aside. He knows justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's persistence, faithfulness, standing in the gap when all seems lost. So it is here. Michael and Uriel are the defenders, the advocates, standing between the wrath of judgment and the promise of mercy. The courtroom is crowded with invisible witnesses: Abraham, Moses, David, the saints of old, watching, waiting, longing for the verdict. A flash of light. Uriel's fire sweeps out, and for a heartbeat you glimpse the truth. The contract is signed not with ink, but with suffering, with every beat of Jesus' failing heart. The case is not decided by logic or law, but by love. Who would you trust to defend your soul in the world's darkest hour? Someone who knows your weakness and stands anyway. Someone who refuses to give up, even when the outcome seems certain. Someone who knows the cost and still pays it. The enemy falls back. The shouts grow faint. The darkness peels key. Michael lowers his sword, not in defeat, but in victory. His role as defender complete. Uriel's light settles on the cross, marking the new terms: grace over guilt, hope over despair. In your own life, maybe you've felt accused. Maybe you've faced a moment when everything seems stacked against you, when shame and fear threaten to overwhelm. Maybe you've needed someone, anyone, to stand up for you, to speak when you could not. Tonight, the cross is that place. Jesus is that advocate. Michael and Uriel are the promise. Even in the darkest trial, you are not alone. The transaction is finished, the battle won in silence and sacrifice. As the storm begins to break, the light grows stronger, calling every soul to remember. Every courtroom has its advocate, every battlefield its defender. Who stands for you when the world goes dark? A new sound stirs in the distance, a rumbling, a shift, as if chains are being broken. The story is not over. The descent into Sheol is about to begin. Could a single act in darkness set captives free for eternity? Deep below Jerusalem, farther than any mortal eye has ever seen, a gate creaks open in the Shadowlands. Sheol, the ancient prison of souls, waits in absolute silence, older than memory, thicker than night itself. Into this silence, a single figure descends, not with an army, not with the shouts of triumph, but with wounds still open, light barely flickering from his battered form. Jesus steps into Sheol as every chain rattles, every ghostly eye turns, and the air quivers with a fear that is not human. Because tonight, the darkness itself is afraid. For centuries, the spirits of Abraham, Moses, David, and the faithful have lingered here, bound not by evil, but by the shadow of a promise not yet fulfilled. They are not forgotten, only waiting, caught between memory and hope, exile and exodus. Now the impossible unfolds before them. The prison doors begin to tremble, ancient locks groan, and a crack of light slices through endless gloom. Imagine the terror and hope on Abraham's face as he sees the light. Picture Moses, who once split the Red Sea, Exodus 4, watching as walls of darkness peel back and a new path appears. Not through water, but through death itself. David, the shepherd king, lifts his head, heart pounding with a psalm that never had an ending until now. Jesus moves through the shadows, not as a victim, but as a liberator, keys of death swinging from his hand. He whispers, "I go lower than death to raise them higher than heaven." And at his word, chains shatter. Iron gives way to hope. Michael and Uriel stand on the threshold, silent, awestruck witnesses as history pivots. They have fought countless battles, but never seen deliverance like this. Not a rescue by sword or fire, but by surrender, sacrifice, and love that reaches where no power ever dared to go. Remember Moses leading Israel through the Red Sea? How the people stood trembling, trapped between Pharaoh's chariots and the deep, until a path of freedom split the waters wide. That was just a shadow of this moment, a greater exodus, a midnight jailbreak for every soul ever shackled by death. Picture the Underground Railroad generations later. Men and women, desperate for light, crawling through tunnels and forests, chasing rumors of freedom, trusting strangers in the night. Every link in the chains broken by hope, every act of courage setting the next soul free. Now, in Sheol, that courage is written in eternity's own script. Or think of someone clawing their way out of addiction, despair, or shame. Lost in darkness, yet somehow, somewhere, the tiniest light appears. A hand reaches in, not to judge, but to pull them up. A new chapter begins. Here in the deep, the same miracle unfolds. The faithful see the Messiah, the one promised for ages, and something inside them breaks wide open. Joy, shock, relief, tears flood faces once etched with sorrow. Their captivity wasn't forever. Freedom is more than a dream. The darkness was not the end. If you've ever felt abandoned, lost in your own shadowlands, certain that no rescue would come, this story is for you. Because in the darkest place, the rescuer walks in. He calls you by name. He unlocks the doors no one else can reach. Jesus looks at the captives, Abraham, Moses, David, the nameless and the known, and with a simple word, he leads them out. Not just out of Sheol, but into a new day, a new covenant, a new hope that no grave can hold. Michael and Uriel remain, silent as the last chains fall, their mission fulfilled not by might, but by mercy. This is the miracle beneath every miracle, that sometimes the path to glory runs through the pit. That true freedom is born not in sunlight, but in the darkest night. Have you ever felt abandoned, only to discover freedom waiting in the darkness? Have you watched the door swing open when all seemed lost? That's the story of Sheol, and it's the story offered to every soul. Above, dawn begins to break. The stone will roll away soon, but first, the greatest jailbreak in history finishes in silence. Hope rising from the underworld. The next act is about to begin. Will you follow the light out of your own darkness? What if true victory happens in silence? What if, while the world is shouting, history turns on a whisper only angels can hear? On the edge of dawn, as thunder fades and the last echoes of battle settle over Golgotha, a stillness falls, a hush, more powerful than any roar. Michael, the guardian of heaven's armies, stands tall with his sword lifted, not to strike, but to bear witness. Uriel, the angel of mysteries, closes the scroll of judgment, its light fading into a new beginning. The battlefield is quiet, but the silence is not emptiness, it's the sound of every chain breaking. Jesus stands with the keys to death and Hades in his hand, Revelation 1:18. The wounds on his body glowing softly as dawn pushes through the storm. With a word, the barriers fall, and every captive, spirit, memory, hope, finds freedom in the wake of his surrender. This is not the victory men expected. There are no trumpets, no armies marching in triumph, just the gentle sound of chains dropping to the earth and the first light of morning warming the stone. Above, Michael stands guard, silent but unyielding, his presence a promise that no darkness will reclaim this ground. Uriel's face shines with hope, casting rays that stretch far beyond the hillside, into centuries, into hearts still struggling in their own silent wars. Beneath the cross, the earth trembles with a quiet that is anything but empty. Here, heaven and earth have touched, and the scars of one become the hope of all. Think of every struggle that is won not with shouting, but with endurance. The mother who holds her sick child through the night, whispering prayers the world never hears. The man who chooses honesty in a world of shortcuts, who resists hatred when it would be easier to join the crowd. Every silent act of courage, every unseen stand for good, these are the echoes of this victory. Michael remembers other battles, other mornings when it seemed the night would never end. He remembers Daniel in the lion's den, his prayer rising like incense in the darkness, and the angels standing guard all through the night. Daniel 6:22. Uriel recalls the prophets who spoke hope when hope was out of fashion, who carried light into kingdoms ruled by fear. This victory is for them too. It is for every generation, every silent fighter who ever wondered if their struggle still mattered. Sometimes the loudest victory comes in the silence after the storm. When the shouting is over, what remains is the choice to keep hoping, to keep standing, to let light in. Michael's sword glows with a quiet fire, not for destruction, but for protection. He stands for every soul who feels alone in their battle. Uriel seals the scroll, its mysteries now written on the hearts of those who dare to believe. Where do you need to let hope guard your silence today? What is the fight no one else sees? The chain you carry in your own midnight hour. In this stillness, listen for the truth. You were never meant to fight alone. The angels are on assignment. The victory is already won, though the world may not see it yet. As the sun rises over Golgotha, the storm lifts, and the light spreads, not with a crash, but with a gentle insistence that darkness cannot last. Children laugh in the distance, the stones warm beneath the morning rays. Somewhere, in the secret place of the soul, hope stands guard, a silent sentinel, waiting for you to believe that the war is over. And as Michael lowers his sword and Uriel steps into the light, the world breathes again. Victory echoes through the silence, through the generations, and you right where you are part of that legacy. Wherever there is darkness, wherever there are chains, remember, the dawn is coming. You are never alone, and true victory, lasting, world-changing victory, sometimes happens when no one but heaven is watching. There are journeys that begin in the deepest shadows and end with a light breaking over a silent city. Tonight, we have crossed that ground, stood where the darkness was thickest, felt the weight of battles no human eye could see. But as the sun rises over Jerusalem, it reminds us, not every victory is won with swords and armies. Some wars are fought in silence, where hope refuses to die, where angels like Michael and Uriel stand watch, guarding souls and destinies when no one is looking. Maybe you have felt the echo of that invisible war, in the struggle between fear and faith, despair and hope, giving up and holding on. Maybe you've wondered if you matter, or if anyone stands guard for you. But tonight, let this truth settle in your heart. You are never truly alone. Somewhere in the unseen, angels still stand watch. Light is breaking through the storm. And your story is not over yet. If you were there, if you were the witness, would you have the courage to walk through the darkness, trusting in a victory your eyes could not yet see? If you truly knew angels were guarding you, how would you choose to live? What battles would you dare to fight? What hope would you refuse to let go? As the first rays of morning spill over the city, as the bells ring out over Jerusalem, Michael and Uriel fade into the new day, their work done, their promise left behind. Every dawn is proof that darkness has an end, and every soul that dares to hope, dares to believe, helps write the next chapter in this ancient, unseen story. So if this story moved you, if it spoke to a place in your spirit, share your thoughts below. Subscribe to join us for more journeys behind the veil. And remember, the darkest night is always just before the dawn. No matter where you stand, there is light waiting for you on the other side. The door is opening. Your new day is about to begin.